Moving to Chenango Forks and Blue Devils and Westhill Warriors facing off. Chenango Forks would take an early 21-0 lead with everything looking their way. Senior Finn Stark punching again in here, but Westhill fighting back. Elijah Welch with the drop in the bucket to Kevin Cision to get on the board. Welch continue the momentum, but this one mostly by himself. The quarterback showing off his rushing abilities, breaking tackles, and showing his lightning speed. He takes it 70 yards to the house. The Blue Devils came out with a mission, scoring on the first drive to take back a 2-possession lead. The two teams will go back and forth, scoring 5 straight possessions to open the second half. Chenango Forks' Brazen Fry puts his shoulder down to take a 42-28 lead with just a few minutes remaining in the game. The Blue Devils' interception would seal the deal, winning the non-league by 2 touchdowns in week 0.